Hello everyone! As I promised, I'm going to be making the initial support item guide for basically every support. For consideration, the season is just about to come out, so maybe tuning is not perfect, so I don't know, maybe Dreammaker is trash. I do explain it for every champ, but it's something that may happen. It is very possible that, I don't know, Bloodsong is so broken that it's the best option for any support. That may happen, but I selected at least two, except for one champ. I selected two of what I think are the most viable ones. Do not think that the one above is always the best. Sometimes it was just like I was making it and it's how it was made. But most of the time I will explain which one I think is the best. Sometimes it's like 50-50. Sometimes it depends on tuning, sometimes it depends on the comp, etc. So let's start with the general guideline. The general guideline is celestial position is the engage or the self-peel option. You should use it when you need a tankiness. Not good if the enemy has a lot of poke, because it works like current Crown of Shadow Queen, where you gain a shield that can be procced and then you have like a long cooldown. The shield lasts for after 2 seconds of you get damaged, and it is worse for ranged champions. But you'll see that on some ranged it might not be bad. Salty Slate is itself an ally peel, but useful for offense because it gives movement speed. It is useful by most because the requirement is just to CC an enemy. It works on slows, roots, anything. Bloodsong is the pure damage one, best for champions with high variance between casting abilities and auto-attacking, and is mostly used by AD supports. The scaling of this item is base AD, not bonus. You do not need to build AD to use this one. If your champion has a very high AD, a base AD, and it has a lot of base damage, go for it. I will explain some of them later, cause yeah. Dreammaker is the peel and it runs on hit damage to an ally. It is only useful by enchanters, cause you need to shield the ally to proc it. So yeah. Or like champions with some sort of boost and AoE. Zak is the poke damage one. Best for AP supports, mostly because it has an AP ratio. So if you are a poke tank, like I don't know, if you're picking Maokai, I think this might be good because it works on AD. Yeah, the issue is that AP Maokai sucks and it doesn't have scaling, so yeah. It has a decent base damage, so some supports may also go for it that are not AP, but just to know. Let's start with Lux. Lux, of course, the best one and is very reliable is Zak. It's the poke one. Lux generally goes for AP. Next season, even on the like cheaper builds, you go for full AP. You go for the support and mage items that gives you pure HP and cooldown. Really strong with Lux. And also her Q and Hwei make it very reliable. Because this item, I forgot, it works like Hwei passive where it explodes, but it's not guaranteed the explosion to hit. It is better if you have a slow that guarantees it. So yeah, that's it works with Lux E. Lux works with Q. As another option, I put Dreammaker. It is useful when you are behind or you have a hyper carry. You should max W when you want to use it because the cooldown is rather low. So you need, it is 8 second cooldown and max W goes to 14 to 10 without haste. So just put in some points, and considering you hit your W every time, you should use it quite well. Senna. So Senna, the obvious option would be Bloodsong because it's the AD support one. And yeah, it's easy to apply with Q and auto attack. I think it might work on just Q. I'm not sure right now. The downside is that Senna base AD is trash. It is not bonus. Senna does not gain base AD for level due to her souls. So her base AD is always 50, which is the lowest or second lowest in the game, something close to that. It's still really good due to the damage jump, of course, but in my opinion, it is very possible that Slate is better most of the time. It is very easy to apply with Q, and the movement speed is very valuable for Senna, especially for kiting, and the extra health makes you not to die as much. Like, it's 120 extra health, that will make you live a lot of times. In my opinion, it's a really strong one. I know most people will go for Bloodsong. In my opinion, Slate might be a bit better. We'll have to see. Both are pretty viable. Thresh, of course, Celestial as the engage one. it's generally going to be the best and the easiest one. I do put Slade as an option, because Thresh can build towards speeding, and maybe you want to use this one. Also, if the enemy has like a lot of poke, that breaks opportunity Celestial a lot. The issue is, it's not reliable with Q, it is reliable with E, which, you know, it's your best build ability besides W. In my opinion, Dreammaker is not going to be that good, because when you throw your W, you should not throw your W as a shield. The shield is like an extra. Sometimes you do, but you get the idea. And the cooldown is rather high, so it's not worth it most of the time. Naughty, pretty similar to Thresh. Engage option, Celestial most of the time. And appeal option. The thing with Naughty is that works with his auto attacks. It is somewhat reliable. I'll probably remove the not very reliable, because it is reliable. For Morgana, we have of course Sac, really easy to use, and it's reliable once you get Rallies, while Slade is really good, again, mostly with Rallies, as an ally peel option, and also makes your ult, so you get a bit tankier when you ult, which is quite decent. The thing about both is you need Rallies to make it reliable, but in my opinion, Rallies Morgana is probably her best rush item, so yeah. Blitzcrank, in my opinion, same. Celestial is going to be the best one most of the time to do engage option, but you can use Slade as a peel option. It works with E, works with Q, it's with ult. Rakan, a bit hard to say, so the engage one is really good for your extra tankiness and makes you not die so much with engages, but at the same time, Slade not only gives some ally peel, is really good for Rakan, but also gives you movement speed when you hit your first hour, so you can follow to the rest of the team to hit your R to multiple people. That might be really strong. And of course, you have Dreammaker as a ally peel option, pure one. It depends on tuning whether or not Slade or Dreammaker is best. But yeah, Xerath, of course, Sac, poke. It's not reliable, but it's the best option. He doesn't have a really good one, in my opinion. And I put Celestial as the anti-assassin option. It might not be bad if the enemy has like 1 or 2 assassins, in my opinion. Pyke, you have Celestial as a anti-burst for Pyke, which is quite great when you want to engage. So Pyke is really squishy, and this damage reaction is really good for him. I put Slade as an option. It's probably going to be worse than Celestial, but the movement speed and the health is really good for survive to engages, but also you can use it offensively with like, I don't know, you hook someone and you want to guarantee to hit your E, you have extra movement speed, and you also can like run away faster once you engage. I will only recommend it if the enemy has a lot of poke and you're not going to have the shield of Celestial as much. For the pure damage one, of course, Bloodsong, AD support, should be okay. The issue with Pyke is you're not usually going to auto attack that much after laning, where you get the evolve, but it still might be a decent option. For Leona, of course, Opportunist as a general engage option, but she's really strong with Bloodsong. So Leona applies it with Q or with Q basic, but it's pretty easy to do either, or like EQ that also applies it. And Leona already has a lot of innate tankiness. She really doesn't need even more most of the time. The damage is really strong. I tried it out on PB I think once, and it was quite good. I would highly recommend to go most of the time with Bloodsong. But yeah, Zyra, of course, Sac as the poke damage, very reliable once you have allies, but it also works on like your E plants very reliably. Of course, Q plants also should proc it, but it's not as reliable. As a peel option, I have Slade, so Slade should be viable because you have a lot of CC on your kit, and if you need like the extra peel to your ally, it's quite good. Also, if your team like already has enough AP. Braum, very reliable once you get allies. Sac. The poke damage works with your, I'm pretty sure it works with your passive, so you can proc it many times with like your ult and such. Really strong. But I also mentioned Opportunist as the anti-assassin option. Do not sleep on that one, because Brand issue is just dying sometimes and not getting to hit 2 abilities. But yeah, now you have an option. Lulu, unlike many enchanters, Dreammaker or Slade. So Dreammaker is the one that works with shields, pretty reliable on Lulu, and Slade works with your CC. It depends on tuning whether or not it works best than Dreammaker. Same with Nami. I'm pretty sure it also works with healing, now that I mention it. If it works only on shielding, you still use it with Ari, don't worry. But I'm pretty sure it works on hitting too. I've been saying shielding for some reason, but it also works on hitting. It's the same as Lulu. And Yuumi is the same as the other enchanters. Karma, you have both the damage and the enchanter option. The thing about Karma is her cooldown is low enough, even if you don't have points in it, so it should be quite strong. It makes you scale quite well. So you put points on Q in laning to do your damage, and then later on you start maxing your E, and you have this as the pure peeling an ally option. Highly recommend it. The damage might be good if your team has low AP with like a mandate build and such. Might not be that bad. Soraka, so similarly as the R2, the Enchanter one, and the Slate, both should be okay. The thing about Slate is it grants you extra health, so you may survive a bit more. I'm not sure right now if it works with silences. I think you need to slow the enemy. But if it works with silence, it might not be bad as a self-build option. But I do have to mention Opportunist as a really strong anti-assassin option. Soraka is not terrible against assassins, but she dies a lot to them. While Lulu and Nami, I think, should not go for a pure self-build option. I think Soraka may want to do it. So Ashe, we have many options. Bloodsong should be the default, but if you can't out-attack, because the enemy has a lot of assassins or whatnot, you can go either Slade, that works with your W, or with Sack, which is pretty reliable also with your W. The only downside with Sack is that Ashe does not build AP on her build, or she should not, sorry. Slade is also really good for the movement speed and kiting, so yeah, similarly to Senna, should be quite strong. Seraphine, same as, let's include her as an enchanter here. You should max W first, I will always say that. And you should go for Ringmaker. The cooldown on your W is not as low, so it's 16 on base, but with CDR it gets closer to 10 once you get this item, this passive. So you're going to proc it basically all the time. As another option, if you're not maxing W for whatever the reason, Slade also works on your E and your Rell, your ult, and it's a really good self-build option and ally build option. Of course, I have to mention Sack, so I don't recommend a pure AP Seraphine that much, but rallies into mandate and something across that might not be bad. Should be okay. Like Rally's Rush is already okay on Seraphine, should be okay next patch. If you're going that, Sack is not bad. Like Sack, like Qmax, Rally's Rush, Seraphine with Sack is okay. That's an option. So Swain was a hard one. The issue with Swain is he doesn't have the range to use Sack. So you're not going to be hitting your W as a poke tool. Maybe like Iron, but besides Iron, I don't recommend it at all. But Celestial is quite good in the sense that Swain really likes the anti-burst damage. Only issue is his range, of course, but it's probably like really strong. The other issue is he has such a short range that I see him getting like the enemy probably breaks it quite easily. So you also have to mention Slade as a more like reliable option. Once you get rallies, you proc it with everything, but you also proc it with E, W, and second R2. So yeah, Swain is a hard one to tell, but I think Opportunist is probably the best most time, and Slade might be okay. Alistar, we go back to like the EU Shining Age support. The thing about Alistar is, in my opinion, Slade is going to be a bit better. This is because Alistar doesn't need extra tankiness, same as Leona, and Slade also gives you movement speed, which makes it pretty easy for him to follow the enemy with your E and hit the auto attack. I personally don't think Bloodsong is going to be that good, but I do think that Slade should be the best one most of the time. Janna, we go back, Enchanter, go for the Enchanter option or Slade. The thing about Janna is sometimes okay, so W max is the best, so sometimes your E cooldown is a bit high, but I'm pretty sure that it is low enough to use Remaker almost perfectly. Slade as just another option. Milio, the same as our enchanters. The thing is, Slade is not good at all with him. I don't know why I put it. Well, we'll remove it later. So the thing with Milio is the only CC he has is his Q. his Q is not reliable. It's a peel option, but I think Dreammaker is just going to be best 99% of the time, if not 100. We go for Neeko. Neeko really likes the Opportunist because Neeko likes to engage. Neeko is a poke support in the laning phase, but is an engage support after it. I also put Sack there, so maybe if your team has very low AP, you might want to use it, but her range is not high enough to be reliable, and for support she mostly plays as an engage support. The engage option should be the best most of the time. It also helps against assassins, which is one of Neeko weaknesses, so yeah, should be the best most of the time. So for Bard, of course, Dreammaker is probably the best one most of the time, as you can easily proc it with W, especially on like a selected target. The cooldown on your W is fine enough to use it most of the time, and Bard is not really good with the others, so I did put Slade as an option because it works on autos and Q. It's probably fine, so it might even be better than Dreammaker, but I don't think it's going to be substantially better. And then I put Celestial as a anti-burst option, which should be viable. Then we have Hwei, the new champ. Of course, as a mage, Sack, best poke damage one most of the time, and his skill already has like Sack as hits passive, so his hits has enough CC to like guarantee the damage. I did put Slade as an option if you need the extra appeal for yourself or your ally. I think overall, though, Sack probably the best most of the time. Then we have Rell. We go back to the typical engage support champion that's going to be going Celestial most of the time. But again, it is an option. Slade is an option, and the movement speed is quite good to keep up with the enemy once you hit your W. In the late game, it's not as usual that you need to do it, and she already has movement speed buff and her ult, so in my opinion it's like more niche, but it might be decent. For Sona, Slade is not an option, but of course Dreammaker, the best for enchanters overall. And I did want to put Opportunist as an option because Sona does struggle a lot with burst, so if the enemy team has like 2 assassins, yeah, maybe it's not a bad option. The other issue with Sona and Dreammaker is, since all of her abilities are AoE, it's pretty hard to target it on a single ally. It's pretty common that it goes to a single ally but not the one you want. That might be an issue. It's an issue with all AoE shield and heals, but yeah, for Braum, yeah, Warden 99% of the time Slade. Opportunist might be an option if like the enemy is pretty ahead and you really need the anti-burst or something, but overall it's just Slade is just good. The movement speed also helps Braum keep up with the target if you need to go for more offensive plays. So yeah, pretty good. For Renata, well, might be quite hard to know exactly. So on one hand, Renata E is usually more reliable as a damage spell than as a shield for allies, but I'm pretty confident that both Slade and Dreammaker are going to be viable on her. You should also, if you go airy, with Guardian, should also be procced with Guardian. So yeah, I don't think it should be good. In my opinion, it should be good. Both. It depends on tuning if one or the other is maybe somewhat weak, but overall, both of them should be viable. And I did want to mention Opportunist again as a decent option, especially on tank Renata, where you don't have frontline and you want to play more for the counter engage. We have Pantheon, actually one of the few that I'm just going to put one, which is Bloodsong. Really strong on Pantheon, it's pretty easy to proc. It works on your W, like your W auto, on your empowered one. Works very well. Of course, you can also add PTA to amp the damage, so the damage jump is like crazy high. My opinion is this passive alone makes Pantheon much stronger as a support, because it grants him a lot of utility and he's probably like the best user besides Leona. Now we have Vel'koz. Of course, again Vel'koz, poke, AP poke support, Sack most of the time, should be viable, especially because his Q is already slows, so it should be more than decent. Slade is an option if you need the build, because it's pretty easy to proc with your Q, E or your ult. And of course, Opportunist might be okay if like the enemy has a lot of assassins, but I don't see it being really necessary most of the time. Now we go with Zilean. I'm pretty sure it should work on Aerie or Guardian, so he can proc it with E and Aerie. Dreammaker should be more than viable. And Slate is an alternative that might work sometimes. I don't know, again, it's one of those that depends on tuning. He can proc it with the Q stun or with enemy E. It's just like the slow, it works. So yeah, of course, Opportunist, with him being one of the like squishiest support champions, I think, and one of the like the ones that want to scale a lot, this is a decent option. Maokai is one of the few that I'm going to say this is probably more 50-50. He is an engage support overall. Most people play him for engage, but Maokai as CPU support is insanely strong and not many abuse it. His Q is a really low cooldown knockback, which is really strong as a peel tool. His W is point and click, so like you can easily peel off assassins or highly mobile targets. I'm pretty confident most people would just use the engage, because you know it's how most people play Maokai, but peel Maokai is not a bad idea at all. On Shaco, yeah, most of the time suck, like 99% of the time. Poke damage works on W and E pretty reliably due to the CC. And Slave should be an option if you play for a more like peel Shaco. The issue is you're probably going to proc it by mistake a lot of the time because you want to like spam boxes everywhere, and yeah, that might be quite an issue. Hammer, both of them are really strong when you get rallies because it's pretty guaranteed for both. So once you get rallies, both your poke and you can use any ability to proc Slate. Both of them are pretty nice. Hammer likes the movement speed and likes to be a bit tankier, but he also really likes like the poke damage. Depends on the game. Taric is one of those that I'm also kind of not sure. So Dreammaker should be the more reliable one most of the time, because his W is a shield and his Q is a heal. So he can use it off cooldown quite well. The issue with Slate is that you need to hit your E, which is not like the most reliable spell ever. It's not like the worst or anything. And the movement speed is like something you would like to have before your E. So it's not really valuable for Taric. And Opportunist, I only would take it if you are maybe going for like an AP build or like a enchanter build, and you need like the extra tankiness to ensure you can use your ult or something like that. Twitch is one of those I'm not so confident. So on one hand you have Bloodsong. Bloodsong is probably viable because he out attacks a lot and you proc it with your ult, so you can like ult and use it. But his cooldowns are high unless you have like resets. But Dreammaker doesn't like he can't use Dreammaker. Slate is sort of it's unreliable. It's probably not terrible, but it's unreliable. You only can proc it with W, and like many times you don't want to use W for peeling, so you know. And Sack is not gonna work on your autos, so yeah. I do want to say that Opportunist might be good. Celestial, I always change the name. The thing with Celestial is like Twitch support already really likes Crown of Shadow Queen and it works the same. So I'm pretty confident that Twitch will really like the anti-burst to like use your ult and hit your auto attacks and E and like not die before that. I'm pretty confident that's going to be a really strong one too. Tahm Kench, 99% of the time go for Slate. He's mostly a peel support, easily applied with Q. And he also boosts his passive because you gain bonus health and his passive scaled with health. That also happens on anyone with any HP ratio. Maokai too. But Maokai is only on E, pretty sure, on his passive. Yeah, Maokai also works that way, so you know. Forgot about Maokai, but works the same. I do want to say that Celestial might be okay if you really need to play him as an engage support with you probably shouldn't have picked him if you were doing that already, but you know. So Teemo has two options. Sack, of course, works really well with your shrooms, pretty easy to proc them, but Bloodsong might be decent too. So it should work on Q, or maybe Q auto, are already like quite decent. The issue is that after hitting Q, it's like reusing it is quite weird because you can technically, I'm pretty sure you can just like throw a shroom and an auto attack and it works. But it's kind of awkward. His W and E are passives, so Amumu, another, just go Celestial. Bloodsong might be okay, but I'm not so confident about it. Amumu is most about the AoE engage, and Bloodsong doesn't really help with that. He's also not that tanky. Like, he doesn't have that great innate tankiness, so the extra tankiness from Celestial is quite good for him. So Sylas, you have Celestial. Sylas likes to go in a lot, especially if you're like stealing a Malphite ult, a Amumu ult, a engage tank ult. Should be quite good. But if you are really want the damage, go Bloodsong. Do not go Sack. Bloodsong is much stronger on like burst or like full in engages, and Sylas just needs to E auto to use it, or like W auto or Q auto. Like it works quite well with the kit. And remember, the scaling is not 80, it's base 80. So like, I'm not sure what Sylas base 80 is, but it's similar to other AD champs. So 2 AD champs. Galio, yeah, the issue with Galio is he just can't use any of the others. He can use Slade. The issue with Slade is you really don't need the movement speed after you hit your CC. You would like to do it before. So yeah, Bloodsong might be okay, but I'm not confident about it. Fiddle, one of the others that has many options, so opportunities should be really good if the enemy doesn't have poke. It means your ult engages don't instantly kill you, have a lot of more survivability, and you get to heal more, technically, or you heal more time before exploding. Of course, Slade is also an option. It works with his Q or his E, or the fear, the Q passive fear. The thing about Slade is you're probably not playing field support to peel. It's not a bad idea, because point and click fear and silence is quite strong as a peel support, but I'm confident most of you are not going to be doing that. And of course, Sack is like the pure damage option, not really recommended, but if you need the burst damage, you can go for it. So Shen, I would say, has a similar issue like Galio, but opportunities should be viable, of course. The extra tankiness goes quite well. The thing with Slade is your Q, if you use your Q correctly, you can slow the enemy, get the movement speed, and get in range for your E, which is quite nice. Bloodsong is also quite good, because Shen has a low cooldown Q, and he also auto-attacks a lot as part of his trade, so should be also quite decent. Sack, we go back to those just pure engage, and Slade is not very reliable. It works with ult, which is a decent build tool, or sort of the Q and E, but I'm pretty confident again that most people don't play Sack support to peel allies. If you do, should not be bad. Also, if the enemy has like a lot of poke, also an option. Set is probably the most awkward one, so can't use Remaker, can't really use Sack, doesn't really like Slade that much. So the thing about Slade that's good is it gives him more HP, which means more W damage. But set support doesn't get that much AD, so 120 health is something, but it's not like crazy. Like Slade might be okay. I should probably add it. I will add it if I remember. Besides that, opportunist, so you get the damage reduction and like it's good for engages, but set range is very short. It's pretty easy to break, and even if you do engage, you kind of delay your W. You're like delaying your grit charge, which sometimes it's nice. It's fine if you're like you're pure engage and you just want to survive. It's fine, but it's kind of awkward. And at the same time, like Bloodsong, yeah, you E auto, it works, but his cooldowns are rather high and it doesn't boost true damage. So like for yourself, it's not that great. I'm actually confident that Slade is probably the best one, but many people are not going to be using it. I'm going to add it later, so probably for the video is already there, but while I'm recording, Slade was not there. But yeah, Annie, we go back to Enchanter. Of course, low cooldown E, you can proc it off cooldown, quite strong for Enchanter Annie. And Saxak I will say is a decent option if you really need the damage on AP builds. I will highly recommend you to go for Rallies into Mandate for the AP build and not like Ludens or something like that. Please don't. But yeah. And finally Poppy. So the thing about Poppy is the engage one is okay, but her range is really short. So it's pretty easy to break and it's pretty hard to maintain it when you do want to engage. Slate, and in my opinion, Poppy is much better as a peel support than an engage one. So Slate should be better most of the time, and the movement speed goes quite well for your E, so you can reposition better for your E into a wall. And that's it. 50 or 49 supports. I will update it a bit after recording because some stuff I've missed some stuff, but I mentioned it on the video. If you like it, of course, so like and subscribe, follow me on other social media, and we'll see you next time.